My parents abandoned me for money, but fate made them beg at my door. The people who should have protected me, loved me, and guided me, sold me out for the price of greed. They turned their backs when I needed them the most. But life is strange and karma is patient. Years later, when I had built a life without them, they came back, broken, desperate, and helpless, knocking on my door, begging for what they once threw away. My name is Daniel. For most of my childhood, I believed I was lucky. My father owned a small store, my mother took care of the house, and we weren't rich, but we weren't poor either. We ate together at dinner, went to church on Sundays, and smiled for family pictures. But even as a child, I noticed something about my parents. They were obsessed with money. My father always compared us to wealthier families, reminding me how much more successful other people's children were. My mother, instead of praising me for good grades, would sigh and say, "If only you could be like your cousin Ethan. He'll be a doctor one day." I shrugged it off. I thought, that's just how parents are. But deep down, a part of me knew love wasn't unconditional in my house. It was tied to status, to wealth, to appearances. Still, I loved them. I worked hard at school. I obeyed them. I wanted to make them proud. I thought if I became successful, their eyes would finally shine with pride. But I was wrong. When I turned 19, just out of college, everything changed. My parents called me into the living room one evening. My father sat stiffly in his armchair, while my mother placed a folder on the table. "Daniel," my father said, "we have an opportunity. A business deal. If it works, we'll never have to worry about money again." I smiled nervously. "That's great. But what does it have to do with me?" My mother pushed the folder toward me. "Your grandfather left you that property and savings, remember? We need you to sign it over. Just temporarily. Once the profits come in, we'll share everything as a family." I froze. That inheritance wasn't much, but it was the only thing my grandfather left me, my safety net. I don't think I can do that," I whispered. My father's face hardened instantly. "Don't be selfish, Daniel. This is for the family." I shook my head. "It's all I have. What if the deal doesn't work out?" My mother's tone turned sharp. "Do you not trust us? After everything we've done for you?" I wanted to scream. "What have you done? Except make me feel worthless?" But I stayed quiet. I just said, "I'm sorry. I can't." That was it. The warmth in their eyes vanished, replaced by cold anger. "If you don't trust us," my father snapped, "then you don't belong under this roof." I thought he was bluffing. But the next day, the locks were changed. My number was blocked. And I was on the streets with nothing but a backpack. The last words my father said before slamming the door, "You'll come crawling back when you realize the world doesn't care about you." Those words haunted me. The first nights were the hardest. I slept on benches, in shelters, sometimes at a friend's couch if they had space. Hunger gnawed at me, but the betrayal cut deeper. My parents hadn't just abandoned me. They had traded me for money. I worked odd jobs. Washing dishes, delivering food, sweeping floors. Every coin I earned felt like a war won. At night, I studied in libraries, learning coding, business, finance, anything free I could find. There were nights I cried silently, asking God why my own blood had thrown me away. But those nights also built my resolve. If my parents thought I'd crawl back, then I would prove them wrong. Years passed. Slowly, I climbed up, from a cleaner to a customer support agent, from support to sales, from sales to starting my own small tech startup. Every failure, every sleepless night became fuel. By the time I was 30, I wasn't the homeless boy my parents had abandoned. I was a CEO. I had a company, employees, a comfortable home. And most importantly, I had self-respect. But deep inside, that scar remained. One stormy night, my phone rang, an unfamiliar number. I almost ignored it, but it rang again. "Hello," I answered. A shaky voice replied, "Daniel, it's your mother." My chest tightened. 10 years. 10 long years since I'd heard her voice. "Please, we need to talk," she whispered. I should have hung up, but something, curiosity, maybe anger, kept me listening. A week later, there was a knock at my door. When I opened it, I saw them. My parents. But they weren't the proud, sharp-dressed people I remembered. They were older, thinner, desperate. My mother's eyes filled with tears. "Daniel, we lost everything. The business deal failed. The debts grew. Your father is sick. We have nowhere else to go." I stood frozen. The same people who abandoned me for money were now begging at my door for survival. I didn't let them in that night. Instead, I investigated. I spoke to lawyers, checked records. And I discovered the truth. They hadn't just lost everything. They had betrayed others too. Borrowed money, lied in contracts, cheated family. Now, everyone had turned their backs. The friends they once valued over me were gone. And so, the prodigal son became their only hope. When they realized I was wealthy, they changed their tone. My father tried to smile. "Daniel, we always knew you'd be successful. We're so proud of you." I laughed bitterly. "Proud? You abandoned me." My mother sobbed. "We made mistakes, but you're still our son." They even tried legal threats, demanding family obligation. But every lawyer confirmed I owed them nothing. They had cut me off willingly. At work, my colleagues noticed my mood. One of them asked, "Are you really considering helping them?" I stayed silent. Inside, a war raged. Finally, I invited them in. Just once. They sat at my dining table, the same way we used to years ago. Except now, I was the host, and they were the beggars. I looked at them calmly. "Do you remember the night you threw me out? Do you remember what you said?" My father lowered his eyes. My mother whispered, "Daniel, we were desperate." I leaned forward. "You told me I would come crawling back. But look who's crawling now." The silence cut like a knife. My mother sobbed harder. My father clenched his fists. I stood up, walked to the door, and opened it wide. "Leave. The same way you made me leave. This house, this life, it's mine, not yours." They begged, pleaded, even tried to kneel. But I didn't waver. With one final look, I shut the door, this time forever. That night, I sat in silence. Not with guilt, but with peace. For the first time, the weight of their betrayal lifted off my shoulders. I realized something important. Family isn't blood. Family is loyalty, love, and respect. My parents abandoned me for money. But fate, cruel, poetic fate, brought them to their knees at my door. And when the moment came, I didn't seek their approval, their love, or their apology. I chose my own ending.